Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. And today, obviously, we're going to be talking about Miles Turner and the Milwaukee Bucks. Now, this was the biggest shock in free agency so far because they just went to the NBA Finals, and Miles Turner was a big part of that Pacers run. Even though in the finals he didn't perform, as well as everyone thought he would, they wouldn't be there without him. And for years and years, since he's been in the league since 2015, he's been in trade rumors, but he's never been traded, and he's even spoken about it and kind of made fun of it. And it's just crazy that this happened, especially for the Milwaukee Bucks. They don't have any salary cap to sign a max free agent, so we were just kind of confused. And now we just got word that they had to release Dame, and they're gonna stretch his contract probably until Giannis is around 36, even 37 years old. And he's still that 2 year, I believe, $113 million. So now Dame is a free agent. So where does this lead you if you're the Milwaukee Bucks? The Milwaukee Bucks also bring back Gary Trent Jr., Tarion Prince, Jericho Sims, Bobby Portis, and Kevin Porter Jr. They can space the floor. I know Jericho Sims is really just a putback dunk and catching lobs type of player, but yes, you still need as much depth as possible, especially if you're in the Milwaukee Bucks, because you kind of just spent all your money on Miles Turner, and you just cut Dame, and you're gonna have to be paying that for a little bit. But overall, this was a win now type of move in the free agency to keep Giannis here. I don't expect him to even ask for a trade next season or maybe the season after that, just because they're contacting him. This move didn't happen without Giannis's permission and kind of, hey, we're gonna do this. A little heads up. And I think Giannis kind of gave that green light, saying, okay, yes, I want to win, and I don't want to wait a year because Dame wasn't going to play anyway next year. So yeah, it's kind of a win now move. And if you're the Milwaukee Bucks, yes, you have Kevin Porter Jr., who you bring back, Gary Trent Jr., you got Torian Prince, Kyle Kuzma, Giannis, obviously, and Miles Turner. But does this team make you, an Eastern Conference final, contender, or a final contender? I don't think so. Does this keep Giannis more happy than what it was, last week? Maybe, yeah. I think this roster is more competitive right now than just waiting on Dame to come back for 2 seasons, because obviously he's not gonna play next year. And I just overall just don't see Giannis staying there long term, in my opinion. But I don't think he's gonna ask out next season, or maybe even the season after that, unless this team just absolutely just on the bottom of the Eastern Conference, or even a play-in tournament team. This team has to be, at least a 4 seed in the Eastern Conference. And if not, then yes, I could see a Giannis saying, yes, I want to compete, trade me, here are my teams. And yeah, at the end of the day, you got to do what's best for your team. But you owe Giannis. He brought a championship to, Milwaukee. And I would hope they would, listen to his trade destinations. And at the end of the day, yeah, you have to trade him for what he's worth, and I think he's worth a lot. So I think this is a good signing. If you look at the other half of it, though, the Indiana Pacers, obviously get worse. I mean, you're one game away from being an NBA champ, and your best player, tears his Achilles, and it kind of just went down from there. And Miles Turner did not play good in the finals. I think he averaged, around 10 points and 4 rebounds a game in the finals. I think as a 7 footer, and probably a third or fourth option on the team, you had to do better. But does that mean to lose him in free agency? I don't think so, because there was reports saying that the Pacers were okay and fine with going over the luxury tax, which they have never done before, but they were willing to do it because they really like staying loyal. And especially to someone like Miles Turner, he's been a really good, veteran in this league for a really long time, and it finally paid off. I mean, they made it to, the finals, and they wouldn't be there without him. And it's just kind of crazy. If I was, Tyrese, I would, be asking, like, what happened? Why? Did you offer him, as much as he's worth? Or, were you like, hey, you didn't do good in the finals. Here's a 3 year, $65 million deal, kind of like a disrespectful deal. I think he's still worth, 80 to $90 million. And I think he saw that $107 million from Milwaukee and says, I can't, say no to this. And yeah, it just sucks for, the Pacers, because obviously they're going to not be as good, because, you're missing your best player, you're missing your starting center now. So now who's going to step up? I just don't know. Maybe another move's going to happen with the Pacers. But yeah, this whole free agency, this was probably the biggest, shocker of free agency so far. Maybe there's another one that's coming. But yeah, let me know down below what you think. Who won this free agency, or who can the Bucks get to even be better, and who's going to replace Miles Turner on the Pacers. But yeah,